looks so powerful, and then Hulk just punches it and cracks its glass jaw. We didn't have a lot of time for the design process on this. Maybe had about 3 days. So a bunch of us got together, did designs, worked it out in 3D kind of from the get-go. What I did was, for those of you who work a lot in 3D, Maya, or anything like that, I just started by designing segments and then instanced them along a spline to see how they would look in repetition down the spline. And then if it didn't look good, then I would just switch out the segment, try a different segment. How's that look when it's instanced out? And then I sort of added wars and stuff to that. So it was just kind of had to quickly bash it out in 3D. So then this was the final approved concept art. The director, this was sort of the early sketch that I did. The director liked the direction that this one was going in. So kind of work back and forth, see which ones they respond to, and then proceed from there and refine in the direction that they respond to. So the director responded to this one. So this was, doing kind of a 3D mock-up based on what he had responded to, and then painting it up relatively in the context of how we were going to see it. It's never seen it from this angle, but it was like, well, how do we show off the scale of the Hulk, how small he is to it? And then later on, did a front view that was more in the context of how you're going to see it coming up the street in the movie. We knew that his armor was going to break off. As you work from the general to the specific in some cases, so once we had bought off on this one, then the front view, then it was a matter of, okay, well, what does he look like underneath? When the Hulk punches him, his armor flies off, so we got to figure out, what does his head look like? What do the organic parts look like underneath? What does sort of what we call the harness, or the alcove of where the foot soldiers fit into, what does that look like up close? You start working out the details of the up close. What does it look? How does it open up? How do they jump out? These were all done in ZBrush in Moto, rendered in Moto, painted in Photoshop. And then sometimes you work from the specific to the more general. In this case, they knew what the foot soldier was. They needed us to figure out what the Leviathan looked like from there. Then, after that, okay, what does the alien sort of homeworld look like from there? So I was working backwards from, okay, where do they come from? What does their universe look like? So we started doing concepts for what their universe looked like and what they called the Leviathan factory looked like, where these Leviathans were coming from. This was an earlier concept I did where the idea was maybe the alien universe is a little younger than ours. Maybe it's a little earlier in the Big Bang, so some of the planets are still colliding together. There's a lot of debris. There's a lot of turmoil in their universe. And then this was, the director wanted more of a purple palette. And he wasn't so crazy about the activity of all the planets colliding into each other, so we dialed back on that. He wanted to move more towards a purple palette to keep in the sort of the theme through the Leviathan and through the foot soldiers, because there's this idea of once they blow up the mothership, the Leviathan factory, everything shuts down, and that basically unplugs, because they're all biomechanical and they're sort of harnessed into each other. They're all plugged into each other. Kill the mothership, everything unplugs, and you've defeated the army. They all drop to the ground.